Time is the most valuable asset that you have. When you were born, you have 24 hours in a day. Everybody is born with 24 hours in a day, and what we have to do is figure out how can we use that to make our lives better and to help others. The following is talks about time and how you need to consider using it effectively.
Time. Hey guys, here today we're going to talk about time. By the time you're done with this, you're going to learn that the most valuable asset you have is time. I have right here time. Let me put it. The most valuable asset you have is time. Doesn't matter how much money you have. A person who's got only minutes to live, that time, there's nothing that money can do for them. People spend so much time chasing money, and there's nothing wrong with that. Better to be wealthy and have money and be able to take care of the bills and the things that you want to take care of. Because I'll tell you what, having money and not having money, guess which one is better? Having money. Now, we're lucky that we live here in the great United States that we can do that. We have so much time available to us now. When you talk to somebody, how come everybody never has any time? We all have the same, we all have the same 24 hours in a day. We all have the same 24 hours in a day. Doesn't matter whether you're rich. Doesn't matter whether you're poor. Doesn't matter if you live in a part of the world where you only make $2.50 a day. We all have the same amount of time. But look what we have here, that we have the opportunity to put our time to good use. It's very easy to wake up late in the morning. It's very easy to go to bed in the evening. The idea of a 40-hour work week is only 100 years old. Prior to the 40-hour work week, people work all day, every day, 7 days a week. Most people were in the agricultural business. I remember when I was living in Vietnam and I was teaching English as a second language, that I remember when I was learning, one of the students that was learning, that we were in a group on learning how to teach English as an ESL, one of the talks that the student gave for the day was, what do you do on your weekends, or what do you do on your holidays? And I remember we had volunteers in there learning the second language, because we were teaching them and we were learning, and it was just nothing but quiet. And this person taught the whole lesson. And finally, the instructor who was teaching us stood up and says, listen, you have to understand your audience. The people who are sitting there don't have a 40-hour work week. They don't work 5 days a week. If you ask them where they went on holiday, they don't go on holiday. If you ask them what they did on their weekend, they may understand what a weekend is, but they work Saturday and Sunday. They don't have a concept of the weekend. You got to understand your audience. Us in the Western world, we're so used to the idea of on Friday, you go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday's hump day, Thursday and Friday, and then off we are. Friday night, go out, have a good time, Saturday and Sunday, and then Monday we're back to it on a 40-hour work week, trading your hours for money. That in the rest of the world that is not a non-Western, outside of the Western world, that's not a concept. It is getting in the first world countries. But most by and far people, they don't do that. What you have when you're trading your time for money, you're basically selling yourself for your skill. But we have all the same amount of time. Time just keeps on ticking until our last day and it's gone, right? What is the worst thing you can do with time? Is do nothing, right? Let me just, time, have you ever heard of time is money? Right? Have you heard time is money? The sooner you save, the better your future will be. The sooner you save, the better your future will be. Procrastination. Procrastination steals your time away from you, right? Procrastination steals your time away from you. We can spend 8 hours in bed. So we 8 hours of sleep per day, 8 hours of work. We have another 8 hours. So we have 4 hours in the morning and 4 hours at night. What do you do with these 4 hours every day? Most people go home and watch TV. Some people go to school. Some people are trying to learn something new. But by and far, the most people watch TV. As it goes today, most people maybe not on TV anymore. TV is kind of becoming a relic of the past. Facebook, right? For us adults, Instagram, right? These programs are designed to keep you engaged and talk with them. Every time you click on something and buy something, they make money. And they've learned how to harness and take your time. So you have to be very, very, basically you have to work very hard to guard your time, right? When you're doing these things, you're procrastinating. You're not doing something. Don't put off today what you can put till tomorrow. Haven't you ever heard of that? It's usually the other way around. This also comes into investing, right? When you're investing, and this is time is the most valuable thing that you have, if you can put $100 or $200 away per month, you can put $100 to $200 away per month. If you start when you're young, if you start when you're teaching your children, there are people that start when their kids are born. There are people who start when their kids are born, putting that $100 a month away for them. If you put $100 a month, that's $1,200 a year. Times 20, by the time they're 20 years old, they'll have $24,000, right? $1,200 a year times 10 is 1,200. 12,000 times 2 is 24,000. That's just if they're putting the money away. That doesn't include, that does not include interest. Let's say you're putting it away at 10%, okay? 10% per year, so it's 1,200, right? At 10%, I'm picking 10%, which means that every 7.2 years, they're gonna double their money. But you gotta realize this is a little bit hard because it's growing. So let's just say that they're putting away a little bit of money, and this is where you got to work with putting it together, because this is a little bit complicated because you're adding it in. But let's just say they put $1,200 in. When they're 7 years old, they'll have $1,400. All right. But you've also put 10 years, they've got 12,000. So 12,000, 24,000. They're going to have $40,000 in there. I don't know what the number is because of compounding interest. But wouldn't it be great if you had $30,000 to $40,000 saved for your child by the time they're 20 years old? And if that child quits, say they have 40,000, doesn't put another penny in, right, at 20, right? This is because their time is the most valuable. They start when they're young. After 7.2 years, they'll have 80,000. So by the time they're 27, they'll have 80K, right? By the time they're, what's another 7 years? By the time they're 34, right? That's 7. They'll have 160K, right? By the time they're another 7 years, 41, they'll have $320,000, right? 41. By the time they're 48, this is not them adding any money at 10% interest. They will have $640,000. And by the time they're 55, they'll have 1.2 million. 1.2 million. That's if you can get them with $100 a month until they're about 10 years old, 20 years old. That is the power of time. Because let's say you decided and you're 40 today. You're at 41. You only have 40,000 in there, right? Right? 41, 48. At 48, you have 80,000. At 55, you have 160K. They got 1.2 million, you got 160K. That's because they started early and you started late, but you have to start. This is what procrastination does. Procrastination keeps you from being successful. Doesn't matter what you do. And let's talk about procrastination. Procrastination is a cancer. Procrastination, whatever, right, is cancer, equals cancer. It eats at you. If you go to college or university and you have a paper that's due at the end of the term, what do you do and you wait to the last minute? That's called procrastination. You wait to the last day to turn it in. You have to study like crazy the night before, write it all up and turn it in. What do you think the quality of that paper is going to be? Very low, likely. I mean, there's always people who they can get everything done at the last second and they seem to get it done. Procrastination in college is bad. Procrastination at work. Trust me, your boss knows if you're procrastinating. Right? Procrastinating with money and putting it away, saving, investing. If you procrastinate in those things, that you'll likely have nothing. And this one, as your time ticks away, you'll end up with nothing. They say that When you come down, have you ever heard the concept of going with the flow? If you're going with the flow down the river, you're not paddling or doing anything. In the end, you'll get spit out at the bottom with nothing. So college work, money, yard work, house. If you don't maintain your house, they have things called deferred maintenance. It just adds up and adds up and adds up. In fact, deferred maintenance can turn into really, really bad stuff. Think about your car. There comes a point where you need to change the brakes. If you procrastinate, changing your brakes maybe cost, let's just pick $100 per tire. So to change your brakes might cost what? $300 to $400. That's when you need to change them. But you wait. If a person waits and waits and waits, if you procrastinate with your brakes, eventually you'll eat up the metal parts. And we're going to talk about rotors. That's all the metal parts that the brakes touch. The brakes are designed to wear out, and all you do is replace the brake parts, and then it's not very expensive. But if you don't change those brakes, after those get worn up, they start to grind metal to metal, and you can end up having, a couple $1,500 to $1,500 to work. So the cost of procrastinating on doing that is not only is it unsafe for you to drive, but it ends up costing you more in the end. So in general, procrastinating is something that destroys you, and procrastination is a concept that has to do with time. You've got to take charge of your time. But this is the one thing people need to learn. People can show up to work. People can kind of do things but in the end, it comes down to money, savings, and investing when it comes to time. You don't have to be the sharpest tool in the shed to start early and start putting your money away to save for a future date. The problem is life happens and you don't put a little bit in there today and put it in there tomorrow. Sometimes you just have to put the money aside. You have to learn. What about procrastinating on learning something? Procrastinating on learning how to put your money somewhere. Maybe the perfect time to put your money somewhere and do something might come tomorrow. But if you procrastinate on learning about it, on how to do it, you'll miss the opportunity. If you're riding in a train somewhere and the train comes to a stop and you're supposed to get off at that destination and you procrastinate and you're reading a book or doing something, you don't get off, guess what? The doors close up and you head off to the next station. You missed your stop. So now you've got to put all the extra time and effort in to turn around, get off, and get on the other station and come back. So those are all the things that have to procrastinate. So procrastination is the worst destruction. It's a cancer. So what I suggest you do is decide what are you going to do about your time? And how do you spend your time? And what excuses do you have for your time? Either things are the greatest excuse or your greatest reason? Excuses or reasons? to do something. People use their kids as an excuse to not do something. Maybe they should use their kids as a reason to do something. Spouse. Same thing. Maybe they use their spouse as an excuse to not do something when they should be using their spouse as a reason to do something. Money. Sometimes you got to ask, how do I do it? Don't use your money as an excuse. There's always a way to learn something. There's always a way to get something. Money shouldn't be an excuse. As the other thing that I can't remember, it was a philosopher, who was there, Aristotle or somebody like that, and they said that with their money that they come in, they pay their rent, they pay for their everything, they pay for their books, they pay for the rent, and if there's any money left over, pay for learning, they'll eat. So people can go without eating. I think that's a very interesting thing for the Greek philosophers to say. So really the question is, when it comes to saving that $100 to $200 a month, don't procrastinate. Because time is your greatest asset when building wealth. Let me repeat that. Don't procrastinate. Save your $100 to $200 per month. Starting now, the younger you are, the better you are. Time is your greatest asset when you're building wealth. So have a great day.